BI user group lab. Today is the BI user group part of it. It's Tuesday, November 8th, 1 to 4 session. Today there are going to be two sections. One is going to be about the Power BI Workspace notifications. The other one is about Power BI metadata. You have the abstract. Hopefully this makes sense to the people who are on this call and here. I am Murali Subramanian. I'm going to be the presenter today and also co-chair along with Julie Bloomquist, who is also here on this call. Say hi.
Hello.
Julie, say hi.
I'm saying hi, and I also wanted to thank Andy Maurer of Doherty. They're the sponsor for this meeting, and Christopher, if you're in St. Louis, if you were able to come, you would have had a terrific pizza lunch from Cecil Whitaker's. So we're trying to beef up our in-person meetings again with raffle items.
Awesome. I haven't had Cecil Whitaker's in a long time. That sounds tasty. I'll have to come out next for the next session.
All right, thank you. So just want to quickly talk about the upcoming user group meeting next month. Again, every month we have it on the second Tuesday. Apologize. So next month, Dan Guzman is our presenter. He's going to be talking about indexing strategies and introduction to column store indexes. I know it's very helpful. Column store indexes, and a lot of time how compression on cloud sources works very similar. So do not miss it. It's going to be a good one. Anything you might want to add, Julie? These are our future events for Data Saturdays and SQL Saturdays. One in Oregon. If you are all the way on the other side of the world, there's one in Bangladesh. There's one Parma 2022. And PASS is in a week from now. So I'm hoping all of you are excited for it. I still believe there's a virtual option for PASS. So that's still not signed up. Others like we'll go to that in a second. And then Data Saturday in Slovenia and MN, maybe Minnesota. So check that out. So yeah, more detailed information on the PASS Data Community Summit. So next week, 4 days, it's in Seattle if you're in person, or it's also available online, virtual. So anything you want to add to this?
No, I did a virtual last year, and it worked out really quite well. And they do have pre-cons, and they are allowing pre-cons to also be virtual. So those are full day education, and I think they're between $300 and $400 for those. The code for the dollars off, that's only for the in-person pass, but just Google and watch out, and there may be some other discounts, but I signed up for the virtual again since I couldn't travel, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm taking off of work so that I can, you know, watch the sessions, and it's a great way to get some terrific education.
So about today's presentation, I do want to mention I do not have a lot of presentation material. I do not have PowerPoint slides. I do have a lot of items that I have to talk to you and show. just trying to switch up the way I do some of my presentations. So let's see if this one works. So one of the first thing is a Power BI Workspace notification. So a lot of us know in various other BI platforms too, might be familiar with message boards where you're notifying users what it is. So this is going to be something similar in Power BI. And then the second topic is the Power BI metadata. We do put a lot of content out into the Power BI service. So just to know a little bit more, get more insights on the Power BI content, and for us to use it for various other purposes, like a glossary, a data glossary, a data dictionary of some sort. The Power BI metadata piece could be helpful. And those are the two content topics. And about your presenter, I am a BI engineer lead at SSM Health. I have 12 years of experience in BI reporting, analytics using Crystal Reports, a couple of years at least with Power BI, done data modeling, warehousing, ETLs, ELTs, using Oracle and SQL Server mainly. I do have certifications, 6 or 8 certifications in Epic. So pretty solid data modeling and subject matter expertise in Epic related content. Also know that our organization is delving into integrated data platform as an Azure Data Lake, Databricks as our data lake. We do other things with Data Factory, Azure Data Factory, of course, Azure Data Lake, Python coding, whatever else we have to do for that particular set of layers. Let me, again, I do not have a specific presentation PowerPoint itself, but I do have a lot of topic that I want to talk about. Before I start, let's see, do you want to start recording? The recording is already on. Thank you. All right, so the recording is on. Let me move one thing at a time. All right, so some of us, like I mentioned, have various BI platforms, or sometimes in applications you have like message boards. That's probably what they're called in a lot of places. Those message boards are available for notification, specific status of various products, various critical products, various critical platforms, and things like that. So as an example, now whatever is on our screen is it's a notification board that tells our users, today, notice, you see that it's green, tells, today the reporting status is green and it's available. If universe, SAP PO universe, are available, they're all available. So it's just a good sign. So this is like a clear, quick notification whenever our users log into our BI tool, they know there's something out there. These at least are our key products that they're looking for to see what status it is. It looks pretty rudimentary, pretty straightforward. So something like this is what we're looking for any user notification. This way, users are aware of their system health. Unfortunately, at least as far as I am aware of, there's not one like that for Power BI. So if I just go into my Power BI, there are general notifications that tells me, what my system is. So I mean, I might have some notifications of what is happening in my in things that are nominally kept or being sent only by my admins are shown here from Power BI itself, and not specific content related availability of system health, sort of to say. Um, now, most of the times, how we have defined our users' expectation or how they would see is only an app interface. So most, if not all of the users for our case, they see it as an app workspace. So what does that mean? Whenever there's a whenever there's a user, they do not see a workspace as a workspace, but they do see, for instance, this an example workspace is developers that we have. We have some content out there and stuff like that. But they do see it only as an app workspace. So if you're not very familiar, app workspace, they only see the content. They do not see the metadata, or if there's like data sets and stuff like that, they won't be able to see it, interact with it. Now, in this case, usually they would go into one of your preset set of reports just as another item. You can say which apps you include or not within that workspace for your app. If you go here, so it says include an app, you see all those are included or not. So this is pretty obvious. So when I look at this, even though there are some reports, not everything is available. For our situation, one of the key things we're trying to do is display something on our.
You're talking to the screen and not to the room, so if the room's having a little hard time hearing.
Oh, sorry.
If you wanted to either turn around.
I didn't realize you had already started the meeting. That's all I could hear was.
Oh, sorry.
Or do you want to try the microphone as well? Or just
Sure.
wanna sit on that side and kind of look?
I could. Sure. Sorry. Give us 1 second. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us 1 sec. All right, thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so sorry, getting back into the notification. Like I mentioned, there is a place where we can put notifications out. Um, Normally, in other BI tools and stuff like that. In this case, native, at least as far as I know, we do not have anything for Power BI that gives user the system state of where certain critical data sets are, for instance, or certain content itself. If your dashboards are unavailable, then it's a lot more easier to put it out there. So that's a key thing. Now to work around this, um, I mean, there could be multiple ways we could do this. But again, one of the things I want to draw our attention back to is the fact that our users always get the app workspace experience. What that means is they would only see the reporting content. If a report dashboard or something is available, then they only would see that. I do not have data in any of these, so it should be fine, or data that's PHIR, BIR, or anything. So one of the thing is, generally our content itself will be on top. And when you open your app itself, you can tell the app which report it starts on. You can like reorder your reports. You can say which one, or you can even have multiple views of the app itself from recent things. So from this concept, what we're going to leverage is making sure we put out content. We tell people our system health in a dashboard or a report that's available always on the top. So whenever it opens up to that particular report. So it's a very simple concept. The top one is always going to be your workspace notification. And remember, in Power BI, we have multiple workspaces. So each workspace can have different audience, can have different content. So this would kind of help you use that particular that particular dashboard, or in this case, let me call it as notification center, for only that particular workspace. So if I have like 20 workspaces, I'm not going to have clobber up my single notification center telling 200 items if they are all doing well or not. So this would be split up by the domain or that data mesh domain that you have created within your workspace. Again, how do we set this up? Again, it's very simple. The backend itself is not too complex. You could, again, do this multiple ways. Just for our demo purposes, I have done it using an Excel spreadsheet. So what I did was basically have an Excel spreadsheet. I do have like a data modeling aspect to it. So a few key items that I've used, so I know which workspace it goes to, if I have specific app workspace ID that, there are multiple app views. So if you want to like specifically have something for that app view alone, then you could put that in another column. And the column that says if a notification is enabled or not. And the system level, if it is green, yellow, red. So I have this is almost like a dimension table more so than a fact table. But I mean, as you keep using the notifications more and more, it becomes more transactional. But you can see in this case, the notification itself is saying something, new app workspace is created when I initially did it. And then, there's partial system outage. Again, this is only for demo purposes where I'm saying, this is only a partial outage. I could have specific content saying my data set number 1 is working, or data set number 2. I mean, all except data set 2 and 3 are available at this time. And you can have like maybe it'll be available at a certain time. So the availability times can all be set in this notification. And of course, you can definitely expand this data model to however it suits you. You can add those availability times. Just for the simplicity and the sake of demo and showing that you can use such smaller, simpler solutions to show or give your users, end users, what you want. This is in the case of an Excel spreadsheet. And again, this is data modeling, and we don't want our data models to live in an Excel spreadsheet. So this can always be, this should always be in a data, it should be in a database server somewhere, preferably Azure SQL. So that way, somebody is keeping track of what goes in and out. Limited people only can touch it. Whenever you have Excel, it ends up in somebody's desk, and you don't know how to, change the notification. And especially when multiple workspace are involved, and people are looking at your content. But again, just for the simplicity's sake, you can make changes. And in this case, the data modeling, again, in the back end is so simple that I am using just an enable flag saying that only look at that particular row for my end result, saying everything is working fine here because that's what I have set it to be. Now again, whenever I need to add another notification, I would just add another notification, and then I would just fill out these information. And when I do, they would just populate. Let's say if it is not good, then I'm gonna say, oh, sorry. So I was talking about.
Okay, that makes much more sense.
Oops. Sorry about that. So this is what I was showing earlier. So it's a notification data model in the underneath. Sorry, I was showing a couple of things, but I will show this again. So the data model in the Excel worksheet that I have just hosted in our SharePoint at this time. But again, this is something that needs to definitely go in the database. And you can, within the same data model, create separate notifications for various workspaces. Basically what I was trying to show earlier. Now, one of the things, again, the notification content, you can see can be changed every time. And I can say, now I want to say data sets 2 and 3 are unavailable until like 2:30 p.m. So people are aware of what that is. In this case, again, I'm just since it is a bad thing, but not data sets 2 and 3 are very small. It doesn't have much user. It's not a critical data set, so we're going to call it yellow. And again, you can come up with various methods of showing this. So I'm just going to say enable this, and once I save this and refresh my data set, which is in my Power BI right here. So I did put this data set right here. I just called it notification center. And another thing, even though the app itself, you can move your document up and down. It's if you have like a specific name, I used a double underscore in front, so it's always on top. And you keep constant naming convention across your workspaces, so it's obviously the same, and put in some information on the dataset description, so it's hard to miss, and people do go to that notification center the first thing. Now since I made the change to my data set, I'm gonna check. Yeah, I'm gonna quickly check on my SharePoint here that it is synced. All right. Sorry, I'm doing it on the other screen, so give me 1 sec. Okay, it did sync. So all I have to do is, in this case, I have a refresh. Normally what we try to do is we have an SLA So if it is like 7 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever your SLA is, you can have like scheduled refreshes right before your SLA of this data set. So whenever you have users coming in looking for that SLA to be met, they know at like 6 o'clock, okay, all systems are open, they're ready to go, or like a couple of systems are not working, a couple of your upstream sources are having some hiccups, so you can mention that in your notification center. So now all I had to do was just refresh. I hope the refresh got done. It should be done. Yeah, it's done. So if I go back to the content, and if I update, actually, let me just, okay. Oh, it's right here. Sorry. So you can see that it's an ugly yellow, but people know that something is not good. They know the data sets 2 and 3 are unavailable until 2:30 p.m. So they are not going to, either they're going to not look for any reports related to that, or you can even mention the related reports and stuff like that, and you can connect it to the Power BI metadata and find out.
I can ask you, one of your refreshers fails. Is there a history table that we can point to in Power BI to look for the successful or unsuccessful refresh of that data set to kind of automate some of this?
Great question. So I don't know if everybody were able to hear the question. So Andy asked, are you able to look at something in Power BI to let us know if the refresh succeeded or failed, so we can put this out there in the notification center? That's a great question. I think that would be great for me to go when I delve into the Power BI metadata. Next topic, that's totally what this is about. I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you. We'll definitely talk about that there.
Great.
And there is a way, definitely. So for simple starters too, to answer the non-abstract way, that the non-content that I was going to do, the simpler way to look at that would be not the simpler way. Simpler but annoyingly longer way is to go to a workspace, look at all the data sets. You can click on the refresh history and see if it is completed or not. You can do that for all the data sets one by one.
It was my job at AV for many months.
Gosh.
That's why I asked, because I got sick of doing that.
Yeah,
Especially when you manage 100 data sets.
That is slightly difficult. But yeah, thankfully there are APIs to do that. So we'll delve into that later. Any other question here? I don't want to stop anybody from, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop at any time.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So the Excel that you had, is that specifically for this workspace, or is it, or can you filter on other workspaces? Like, would everything be in this one table, or is this only for that developer's workspace that you were in?
Great question. So the person on the call's question was about, just so people are also here, are aware of the question. The question was about Excel. Are they asking, is this only specific to this workspace that I was showing right now? So the short answer is yes. This one is only specific to this workspace, just for our demo purposes. Can you expand this to other workspaces? Yes, totally. It's very simple. I mean, in my data modeling itself, I have the workspace ID. I mean, this is the GUID. You can, ideally it'll sit in its own dimension, and the ID of that workspace itself, just like a dim ID, like a int number would be there. But whenever you are looking at the notification center, let me actually show you the Power BI for a second. So this is the report, which is just displaying you that notification data. Now all you would have to do is filter on this, wherever you're publishing this report. Now we know, you can have one data set hold this data, and you can publish report to different workspaces from that same data set. So this data set alone could be published to a central workspace, and then the related reports that will go into specific workspaces will have this following filter, which would be just to go and find that workspace ID, put it in here. Let me make sure my workspace queue doesn't show up too big or anything. So if I put it here, and then it's just I'm gonna just select that is specific to that workspace, and I'm gonna do that multiple times. You could do it dynamically too, using the advanced filter. So that way you set it in the slicer somewhere here. That way it's only showing that workspace.
Put it on the report and let the user.
So that the user can get it. Yeah. Yeah. So whichever works for your case. Ideally, if you're trying to put it on the workspace itself, you would put it on this filter page. If you want a central place where the users all have access, which might not be the case all the time. So if that is the case for some reason, then you can just let them pick the slicer and see what the workspace related notification is. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. So that was actually going to be my next point too, that you could expand this to not just this workspace, but to the workspaces that you're taking it to. If you have a central workspace, and immaterial of if your users have access to a central app workspace experience, you could still put the data set itself in a central workspace that you have, like an admin workspace, so to speak, for all your admin or developers. In this case, I just put it in a place called developers. That's where we do all our development testing and stuff like that. We do have a development environment just separate for deployment pipelines and stuff, but this is just for us to test and play with the concepts and everything. So some central workspace, you put the data set. This way you're not worried about, and this is like, there's no like PII or PHI or any identifier that you're worried about. All you're doing is just notifications of the RLS or any other issue is not relevant or not necessary here so much. It's pretty straightforward. You can put this workspace notification any of the places that you're familiar with. And as far as the data set itself, again, it's ideally it would be better to have like a data star schema data model with all our Power BI specific standards and everything. I'm just gonna quickly talk about the items that you see in here, so you're kind of familiar. In case you have like a list of transactions. So, sorry, let me take the backtrack and start over. So, whenever you're having our star schema, we like to have the fact and surrounding dimensions. And again, just for the sake of demo purposes, you see the main transactional one here that has all the DIM and all the DIM related attributes too. Again, you can expand this, but for our purpose, whenever we are trying to show the user some content here, I am using some Power BI related formatting, where I am trying to say, use this color that is kind of very specific. You can see that I'm using the notification level as a color. What does that mean? And every time when I say something is working fine or not, in the data model itself, I am telling if where is that? What color I'm looking for that to be. and stuff like that. Sorry, where is it? So again, this green, yellow, red, and multiple ways you could do this. I mean, I've just used the name for the sake of demo, but you could use like color codes, hex codes. You could just use that in a measure, and then you can also use, in some cases, you could use an HTML viewer as your end display. So in this case, the notification content in my stuff here is just displayed as a regular, I think it might be just a card. What is it? Yeah, I just have it as a card. But you can have it as an HTML viewer, and you can put HTML tags in your notification content, make it more fancy, have like parts of it saying, data sets, the critical ones are running fine, so they are green. Just like I showed in this previous example where, there are two separate items. You can separately see if they're available or not. So if one was available and one was not, you use that HTML tags and content to show various parts of it are working fine. I think there are HTML viewers out there in the Power BI visuals, so feel free to take a look at it. Again, using the content tags, you could, this won't necessarily work here, but all I would have to do is just say, data sets 2 and 3 are unavailable. So if I'm just trying to make an emphasis and stuff like that, just use the bold tag and stuff like that. From any simple to pretty severe ones, pretty cool extreme ones too. You're more than welcome to try and have HTML tags. So that's another thing you could do. Workspace notifications. Let me check one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Workspace before I move on. All right. Okay, I think I've covered most of it. Yeah, I think I've covered one, two. I think I covered it all. Any other questions before I wrap this up? Anybody know or aware of Power BI having a notification other than something like this? Do you guys have any user notification system that you use?
It was me.
It's just an email that gets sent out.
The refreshes every morning, and either kicking them off again or sending an email saying they're being fixed.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it'll send an email to somebody automatically if your refresh fails.
Okay.
I think.
Yes, that's a.
Since I messed with that.
Yeah. You have to be like a data set owner and stuff. Mm-hmm. So one of the things is whenever there's a data set refresh that's failed, and I mean here in this case we're talking specifically about a data set refresh fail. Sometimes what happens also is that a data set itself might refresh successfully, but the source would have reached out to you telling that the source system is not healthy, even though they released it. So your data set might have refreshed, means not good content still. So for that, it would be a little bit harder. Again, this notification center would be helpful. All these do include manual steps. There's no bypassing that. At some level, there are manual steps. And again, you can automate this because I do have some other thoughts, but before this meeting, I was not gonna put in a lot of information into how you can automate entirely the entire system, because at some level from a source, either API calls or you have basically API calls of some sort. You're getting the data, putting it into your either Power BI data lakes, or Power BI Gen 2 storage, or you're putting it into another system and then you're ingesting into Power BI. Either ways, you have already established methods that tell you, or there are people already who are probably also emailing you saying that the source system is not good and you have to relay it to your downstream users. And one of the things is package run. So there are things like this. So whenever something fails, you get like a notification. So if you're a developer, if you are listed as an owner of the data set, or I mean, you can of course change that piece too. Again, this is an email notification. So if there are like hundreds of data sets that you're responsible for, you see hundreds of email notifications that all come to you like this from Power BI automatically after the data set fails, which is good for us to know. But the next step of automation would be where you use some sort of Python code, since we are delving into Python more now, where you could use a Python code to scrape this, scrape your particular, I mean, I do have rules set in my out email that just puts it into a folder. So I would just look at my Python code would just look at a particular folder for all these refresh fails in a particular day, and then it'll throw automatically those into the email notification center that I just showed you. So that is one option. And again, to also go into more of the Microsoft version of it, you could use Power Automate to do that. I'm not going to go too much in depth about that because I'm not very strong on Power Automate. I am trying to learn it myself, and I've seen you could use it various different ways. And one of the ways I'm trying to use it is also this, if I could do that same kind of switching or moving that data into actionable, or put it in some central place instead of having 100 different emails using Power Automate. So it could do any coding, not just Python. Sorry, if you're familiar with any other coding languages that you could do scraping of your email. It could be even an SSIS package that picks up all your emails and then sends it to a specific single notification center, to a table. So whatever method suits you the best, whatever resources you have available to you, you can definitely do it. If you're good with PowerShell, you can do that. So basically, that's my data set name. Usually we have our data sets start with DS. So it's easier for us to identify. And also in this case, for web scraping and stuff, it's a lot more easier for us to know that our data sets always start with DS. If that failed to capture it. Any other questions? All right, I think, wait, do we have like a 10-minute break or something in between, Julie? So we can have, we have like a split stuff.
Yeah, I'll stop the recording and then I'll start it back up and just take, 5 to 10, whatever you.
Okay.
Whatever we want to do.
All right, sounds good. So we'll take a 5 to 10-minute break and be right back. So, and then we can continue with the Power BI metadata aspect.